YouTube. What's up, birches? Welcome to the GCap Recap. I'm GCap, and today I'm going to be doing a first run movie review. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, and I'm super excited about going back to my roots. This is a first OG, old school movie review I've done in some time. I guess it's like an OGCap recap. Yeah, I'm really excited. I figured it was very apropos to do one of these because of the Many Saints of Newark. It had just dropped on HBO Max this past weekend, and I really, had time to take a nice viewing of it, take it in, digest it a little bit, and I want to let you know my thoughts on the film and whether or not you should take time to check it out. I do want to preface the fact that I used to watch Sopranos first run on HBO. I was a huge fan. Still am. I still very, very much enjoy The Sopranos. I used to get all hyped every Sunday night just to get ready to hear that theme song played by Alabama 3. You probably know which one I'm talking about. Listen. I woke up this morning and got myself a breakfast sandwich. I woke up this morning and I got myself a breakfast sandwich. My friend actually made this for me. It is egg white with cheddar cheese and a sausage patty on a hamburger roll, completely grilled. It was delicious, right? But we're not here to talk about that, though. We're not here to talk about what I had this morning. That's it. I'm just kidding. This is a serious review. All joking aside. Without further ado, let's get capping. I'm here to talk about the Many Saints of Newark. You are probably thrilled to hear about the fact that we're finally going to get new Soprano material, and we were going to be going back to the Sopranos universe before the events of the series started. But I was also really excited that we were finally going to see the character of Dickie Moltisanti on screen. I mean, he's a larger-than-life character, but he was only ever alluded to by Tony Soprano in dialogue and exposition and stories. Dickie was Tony Soprano's uncle and father figure, even more so than Tony's actual father. But Tony Soprano used to go off throughout the series about how Dickie made him who he was today, and how he admired him, and how wonderful he was, and the bond and the love that these two had. So now this movie's going to take us back to the late 60s and parts of the 70s, where Tony Soprano is a little kid growing up into a teenager. It's going to focus on Dickie Moltisanti. That's our central character, not Tony Soprano, not young Tony Soprano, who's played by his son in the teenage years. He's played by James Gandolfini's real son, Michael Gandolfini. But the emphasis of the movie is on the character of Dickie Moltisanti. And one of the cool things that the creators did for this film was, in certain parts, to help drive the story, there is voiceover dialogue done by Michael Imperioli, reprising his Christopher character, talking to us about his father and Tony Soprano from beyond the grave. Very, very, very cool little thing that they threw in there. So we see very early on Dickie's interactions with his father, who's a big-time boss, Hollywood Dick, played by the wonderful Ray Liotta, and also his interactions with the rest of the crew, who include Tony's father, Johnny Soprano, played by the awesome John Bernthal, and Uncle June, who's played by Corey Stoll, another awesome actor. I love that guy. He's in Billions, he's in The Strain, he was in the first season of House of Cards. Amazing actor, and he nails Uncle June. There's also a lot of returning characters that are played by younger actors, but they're still the good old characters that we grown to love throughout the course of the series. There's Paulie Walnuts, there's Silvio, and there's even Big Pussy. Oh, and there's also Tony's mom, who had a huge role in the first series, Livia, who's played by the amazing Vera Farmiga, but I mean, she knocks it out of the park in every role, and this is no exception. She's really great here as well. Well, the film is split into two parts. The first part being the late 60s, Tony is like like a little kid, like a little kid. And then the second part of the movie is when Tony is a teenager, and that's when he's played by Michael Gandolfini. Even though both parts mainly follow Dickie Moltisanti's story, there is a recurring theme throughout the entire film around racial tension that existed back then. In fact, the first part of the movie that takes place in the 60s, as a backdrop, they have the 1967 Newark riots. And that plays a pretty big part in the film during that time period. And this is when we're introduced to a brand new character to the Sopranos universe. Harold McBrayer, who's wonderfully played by Leslie Odom Jr. He's a runner for Dickie, but he's a great character. He's given a lot of setup. There's a lot of things developed for him. Next thing you know, him and Dickie kind of start butting heads. And like I say, I want to keep this thing very spoiler free. So Harold will have his kind of own interjecting story throughout both parts of the film. Absolutely phenomenal. Leslie Odom Jr., fantastic actor. And I was very, very interested in this character as well because he is a badass. I love that character. I'll just say this. Man knows how to use a shotgun. Like really well. Like I said, I don't want to say too much more because the film just dropped this weekend on HBO Max, and I don't want to ruin everything. In fact, I urge you, the less you know about this film going in, the better. But I'm going to break it down for you now. Let me start with the good. Actually, I should say great. All the performances are excellent. I mean, everybody, the veterans to some of the newer faces. So sure, we have the John Bernthals and we have the Corey Stolls. I mean, there's people like that, and oh gosh, I don't want to forget Vera Farmiga. I mean, she's awesome. She's awesome in everything. So of course you're gonna get like very, very good, accurate representations of the people they're supposed to be imitating, right? Because these are seasoned actors. These are good actors. So their imitations and mannerisms, everything for the characters that we saw in the 90s and 2000 episodes of the series are. They're totally on point, and they're great. It's awesome. Casting choices are amazing. Even the young actors that played Paulie Walnuts and Silvio and Big Pussy, the voices, the mannerisms were dead on. They did a fantastic job. And most importantly, Alessandro Davola, who's the actor that plays Dickie, who, I mean, he's got to carry the film. He carries it quite well. Phenomenal actor, knocked it out of the park, thought he was awesome. And Ray Liotta, I love him, man. I think he's a great actor. I've loved him ever since Goodfellas, and I'll say this, it's really good to see him return to his mafia movie roots. I'll say I think there's been some unfair criticism for Michael Gandolfini that I've been reading about. I mean, people are very upset that he's not playing Tony Soprano. I mean, this is, I think this is the way you play Tony Soprano. The death of Dickie Moltisanti is how Tony becomes who he is. So, I mean, Tony's a little kid, and he's somebody in high school with different dreams and aspirations. He's not ready to take over this world yet. He's still finding his way. He's still a dumb kid. Kind of like AJ, his son in the series. Well, smarter, but I don't know. He's been getting a lot of bad criticism that he's not playing the Tony Soprano we know, and people are beating him up, and I don't think that's very fair. I think he did just fine. I'd like to see him play other roles that aren't related to the Sopranos, because I don't think he was that bad at all. And another good thing is that we're returning to the Sopranos universe. Like I said earlier, we're getting new Sopranos content. This is awesome. I feel like this movie's going to lead to somewhere I don't know if they're going to maybe hopefully do a new series or have something take place in another decade, as Tony rises up. But one thing people have to remember, though, this is not the Tony Soprano movie. This is Dickie Moltisanti's movie. So that's where there's a disconnect here. Everyone loves Tony. I love Tony Soprano. I mean, he makes the freaking show. I mean, he's awesome. But it's not his movie. And I really hope if you haven't seen it yet and you do watch it, you keep that in mind. And now on to the bad. Unfortunately, there are some bad things. If you're a Sopranos fan, you should definitely see this movie. I think you will enjoy this movie. You'll get the references. You'll get the these little things that happen. I can't say too much because I'm trying not to spoil. it's definitely, as a Sopranos fan, I enjoyed it. For 2 hours, too. I don't feel like it dragged or anything like that. Like, I think it was good. However, as a standalone film, I hate to say this, but as a standalone film, it is not a good film. I mean, even if it's just a mafia, if you just want to watch a mafia movie, it does not feel like a complete movie. There's just a lot of things that are disjointed in it. And if I think about that, if I take the Sopranos fandom out and just look at it as an independent film, like it's like not like an indie flick, but I mean like it's independent from the show, just as a film with structure, this is not a great film. And this should be something obviously that Soprano fans will watch, but if there's somebody that might have seen this on HBO Max and wants to give this a shot because they're interested in seeing The Sopranos, they might be turned off. And that goes back to being disjointed. I feel like there were characters that were introduced and situations that were set up where we don't have closure. They're just kind of forgotten about. You have time invested in new characters and it's supposed to go somewhere. Things are supposed to go somewhere, and they don't. They're just kind of dropped and forgotten, and that's it. So that's how I felt a lot with this film. I think the acting saves it. I think, being a Sopranos fan save it. But as a standalone film, not the best structure. Maybe some of these characters and situations weren't forgot about. Maybe they were put on hiatus for, future follow-ups. I don't know of any, so that's why I'm thinking like this is one and done. Like we're done after this. So for one and done after this, there's going to be some things where, there was no closure. There was a lot of introductions and time and emotion put into something, but it goes nowhere. So I don't have a scoring system. It's just I'm just going to tell you whether I recommend it to you or not. Do I recommend it to you? If you're a Sopranos fan, absolutely go see it. I mean, this is supposed to be canon, right? You've got to be just as excited as I am to see the Dickie Moltisanti character on screen. And like I said, there's a lot of things a lot of blanks that are filled in from that aspect. It's new content for the Sopranos universe. Of course, go check it out. And if you have HBO Max, it's free. It's not going to cost you anything except the subscription you already have. If you're trying to just watch a mafia movie with no prior knowledge, because I mean, the characters in these films are set up. It could almost work as a standalone story, right? I would stay away from it. I would definitely say it's not the best movie and to stay away. For Soprano fans only, which is fine. It's just kind of like the Entourage movie. All of the Entourage fans loved the movie that was out, the theatrical movie. People that were not fans did not appreciate it, but that was a better well done movie, I would say, than this. But what saves this movie is the acting from both the veterans and then the younger, lesser known up-and-comers. Phenomenal. But trust me, I most certainly, because I love Sopranos, I certainly want to hear from you. I want to hear some of your thoughts in the comments below. Have you seen the film? Are you going to see the film? If you did, what'd you think about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I would love to know. I would love to talk to all of you out there. And before I go, I just want to thank all of my current subscribers. I appreciate your support as always. Thank you very much. Love you guys. And for all of you new viewers, I hope you enjoyed my review today. And I welcome you to become a fellow recapper by clicking on the subscribe button, clicking on the bell for notifications, sharing this, and giving it a like. I would appreciate it. It would help me out a ton. And hopefully I can continue to keep giving you such great content. I also want to invite all of you, if you haven't yet, to follow me on my main social channels at GCapRecap on both Instagram and Twitter. Like I always say, guys, anytime you watch a GCap recap, you always have a seat in my bar. Till next time.